all those things. So I'm just quickly going to let you know, without going into a lot of detail, just who I am and what I do. And then you can always go back to my website and have a look at my About page if you want to go a little bit deeper in that. But obviously, I'm Michelle Hexton. I'm a business coaching strategist or coaching business strategist and mentor. And what that means is, while I very much help coaches build their coaching businesses and feel good about themselves being coaches and help them to find their coaching sweet spot and all of those things, share their message online and all of that stuff, it always comes from a place of strategy. So there's always a why behind the things that I do, and it's always part of a bigger vision, a bigger strategy that I'm working with my clients with. So the strategy part is probably what sets me apart from many other business coaches. And I work really closely with my clients to help them to work out, what is the right way for them, because there is never any one size fits all way to get to success or to run a sustainably successful coaching business. So I do really work heavily with the strategy aspect. So working with the individual coaches to work out what is your sweet spot, what is it that you want to achieve here, and then what is the best strategy based on who you are and the audience that you want to attract, the type of coaching that you do, and all those sorts of things. And then we basically work out what is it that you're trying to achieve, and then we have an overarching strategy, and then we have tactics that we employ along the way. And the reason that I call myself a mentor over a coach is I've been doing this a long time. I've been coaching since 1991, and I've been coaching coaches since the late 90s. So, a very long time. And I feel I'm really, a strong mentor. There are so many things that I've done. There are so many mistakes that I've made. There are so many clients that I've coached along the way who, have run into similar sorts of problems or have had different sorts of problems. And we've had to work out, what is the plan B here? What's the plan C? What's a plan D, etc., until we get the result. And so I believe a mentor is somebody who has been there before, and they can help you to find your way there without basically telling you how to do it. But it's a more direct approach to helping you to achieve a result than coaching is. I'm a big fan of coaching, and there is definitely coaching within the work that I do with my clients and in my programs, because coaching is ultimately about helping you to find the answers within yourself. So I definitely help my clients do that, but there's also a strong mentoring aspect, which is basically don't do that or do this because it's going to be the fastest way to get you there. And that's, a mentor, a true mentor is somebody who has much experience in their area of expertise. And, I feel that I definitely have all of those things. I have the runs on the board. I've been doing this a very long time. I've had a lot of success myself and coached clients to be very successful as well. So I feel like, yep, that sums me up. I'm definitely a coaching business strategist, which means I work just with coaching businesses, help them to grow their businesses and create sustainable success through strategy-based principles, not law of attraction. We always want all those things on our side, but it's not woo-woo. It's very much about tried and tested strategies. And, coaching and mentoring, but mostly mentoring. All right, so the topic today is, as I say, the 3 phases of, it's almost like there are 3 phases that you need to move through to achieve sustainable and scaled success in your coaching business. And the reason that I want to talk about this particular subject today is simply because I think a lot of the time, or I know a lot of the time, I see coaches that are really putting the cart before the horse, where they're really overcomplicating things, and it's getting in the way of them making any real progress. What I really want is to simplify things for you guys so that you know that, okay, so this is the phase that I'm at right now. So this is what I hope that you're going to get from this session. You're going to look at it and say, oh, right, okay, so I'm in this phase. So that means that I don't need to worry about that stuff just yet. I really just need to focus on the stuff that's within this phase. And then I want you to be really clear about, okay, so I now know this is the phase that I'm in, and I'm also going to know when I'm moving into the next phase and what that looks like. I just feel like that's going to be super valuable to you guys, because I see coaches investing money and time and all of those different things, and getting overwhelmed and creating, well, basically just putting walls in front of them over and over and over again because they are doing things that are at the wrong time. So they're implementing the wrong strategies at the wrong phase, all right? So the phases that I'm talking about are, I say 3 phases, but it's actually 3.5, let's just call it that. So the first phase that I talk about is the foundational phase, and I've got a bunch of notes, so I am going to be referring to those today just because I feel like I don't want to miss anything, and I want to make sure that you guys get all the information that I have written down for you guys to get. So the first thing is the foundational phase, and that's where we just want to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. We make sure that we are in our coaching sweet spot and a bunch of other stuff. So that's the first phase. And then the second phase is the growth phase. So we move from foundational phase to the growth phase. And growth phase is really in 2 parts. The first part is establishing growth. So it's getting things out of that foundational phase and you're starting to see growth. And then from there, we're going to figure out a lot of stuff in that phase. And then it's about escalating growth so that we can grow faster and bigger and all of those things, knowing that our foundation is really rock solid and knowing that, when we've started to establish our growth, the way that we're doing it and the people that we're attracting and all of those sorts of things, the work that we're doing feels good. So it feels kind of safe to go, yep, let's dial it up now. All right. And then phase 3 is scale. And that's where we get to really leverage your time and expertise and all of those things. Hey, Claire, so that you are not, so that you're not having to work so hard all the time to increase your income. So when you are in that growth phase and we get to that escalated growth, and what happens there is you get super busy and you get to the point where you're starting to get you're starting to feel exhausted and burned out a little bit. That's not sustainable, and you're going to hit a ceiling around your income at that stage because there are only so many hours that you can put into it. And so once we're at that stage, or even a little bit before that, that's when we want to start to think about how can we scale this thing. And then when we get to scale, there are many different levels and layers and ways to scale as well. All right, so that's basically what I want to talk to you about today. The different phases, understanding where you're at, which phase you're at, and even if you're watching the replay and if you're live now, I would love to hear where you're at. Are you in the foundation phase? Are you in establishing growth phase? Are you ready to escalate growth? Do you feel like everything's really come together? You feel like, yep, things are really good and now I'm ready to speed things up? Or are you at that point where you're getting close to capacity, or you're at capacity and you're busy and you're making a lot of money and you're also thinking, I don't know that I can keep going with this. It feels like I'm going to burn out soon, or I'm not enjoying my work as much because I'm doing so much of it. I get to that stage pretty quickly. When I launch a new product, so the 5K formula for coaches was a great example. I launched that as a 4-week coaching package and I was just run off my feet. It was so crazy busy, making a lot of money, signing up a lot of clients every week, but it was just not sustainable. I just felt like I was going to burn out in doing that. And it's taken me a long time to even want to work with anybody in that capacity now. The same way, just because I did so much of it. And so now that's a group coaching program that I think is, far more empowering for coaches than having me do it for them. So that's where we get to do it together. So you will recognize those phases. So I want to hear in the comments where you're at. Are you in the foundational phase? Are you in the growth phase? Are you in the scale phase? All right, so let me just grab my notes so that I have all of the things that I want to talk to you about in one space. So excuse my eyes if they're darting off. Yeah, so what I want to talk to you about, I guess, is how long you can remain in each of those phases. So the foundational phase is one of those things that can be dealt with really quickly if you've got a reasonable amount of clarity or a lot of clarity, or sometimes it can be one of those things that is like trying to catch smoke. I have clients that I work with who once we nail it and we're like, this is the sweet spot and this is what the offer is going to be and all those sorts of things, they're like, yes, bang, that's it. That's exactly what it needs to be. And then they don't think about it again. It's just basically, yes, that's the thing. This is what, the penny drops and it's like, this is the thing. And then there are other clients who are like, yes, this is the thing. And then something will happen, or they'll go away and they'll think about it, or they'll maybe start to work with a client and they'll come back and they'll go, it's not the thing. But usually they've moved very close to the thing and it's just a little bit of tweaking. So the foundation phase, you'll know you've achieved the foundational phase when you have these things in place. So you'll have established clarity around your coaching sweet spot. So what that means is you will know without a shadow of a doubt that you are at your most powerful doing the work that you're doing, because it just feels easy to you. It feels like second nature. It feels like this is the sort of coaching that, I probably should have been doing ages ago. I just didn't realize that I could do it like this because it's so easy and so simple. And oftentimes we have a hard time working out what that is for ourselves, because the skills that we have and the types of things that we can be coaching around feel like we shouldn't be charging for them because they come so easily to us. All right, so you'll know your coaching sweet spot. You'll know the type of work that you need to be doing, that you should be doing or want to be doing. You'll have created your sweet spot coaching offer. You'll have a signature program that just feels really, really good. You can't wait to work with people with that program. You do it over and over and over again, and you always love it because it just feels easy. You know how to create basically all of the programs that I create with my coaching clients are outcome based, outcome driven, results based. So it's basically come and work with me for X amount of time to achieve this thing. So it's not just buy my 12-week coaching package. There's always an outcome. There's always a big promise. And we need to be able to know that we can deliver that promise. And the way that we go about, translating our sweet spot, our coaching sweet spot, into something that we're able to sell is through creating that sweet spot coaching offer, and an offer that feels really good. We know we have a process in order to be able to take our clients from where they are to helping them to achieve the promise that we are promising them. You'll also have brought your brand and your online presence up to speed. So if you've got any sort of form of website shame, or your Facebook page and your Twitter and your Instagram and your YouTube all look like kind of different, like, I know a lot of coaches, if you have a look across the different platforms, it tells a story of their evolution. And even if you go back to my, on my business page, potentially, if you have a look at all the cover photos, if you click through them, that's an evolution of my brand as well. But sometimes people don't bring it all up to speed, and so their Facebook will be saying one thing and their Instagram will be saying something slightly different, and their YouTube is something they've forgotten about, so that's a completely different brand altogether, promising a whole other thing. A coach friended me the other day, and I noticed the things that she was talking about, and I went back to her page and I'm like, what, who are you? What are you doing? Like, it made no sense. And so you want to make sure that stuff is taken care of, because what we don't want is to feel like we're incomplete. We always want to feel like when we are getting ready to move into that growth phase, we don't want to feel like we're going to be behind the 8 ball and have to go and tidy things up, right? We want to have a clear path ahead for the next phase. And so that means making sure your ducks are in a row and taking care of all of those things. So it's making sure that you are in love with your brand, in love with the way your website looks, and then making sure that everything that is a touch point for your business, hey Jen, is in alignment with that, is consistent. You've got that brand consistency across there and you feel really proud of it. So that's another important thing. And you also want to have, in that foundation phase, developed your business systems and client management systems and be ready for a yes. So what that means is, I talk about this with my clients, and being ready for a yes means that if somebody came to you tomorrow and knocked on the door and said, hey, I want to coach with you and I want to give you 20 grand for, I want to work with you for the next 3 months or 6 months or whatever it is, I'm ready to go. What would you do then? Are you ready to send out your client agreements? Do you have client folders ready? Do you have a way to onboard your clients that feels organized? That's one of the things that we need to have in place. I've worked with clients before who have no systems in place whatsoever. And they haven't signed up any clients, but they also don't have anything ready. And so one of the exercises that I will give my clients is, hey, how many clients do you want this month? And they might say, well, I want 4. I'm like, okay, go and create 4 client folders. Client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4, and then get your shit together. Basically have everything you need so that when somebody says yes, you can onboard that client. Don't underestimate the fact that if you don't have that stuff in organized and in place, then you're going to feel like you're not quite ready. And when we're not ready, we push away, energetically, without getting too woo-woo. We kind of do push away clients coming to us because we don't feel ready. We might be saying we want clients. We might be saying we want to make more money in our coaching business. But if we don't have our organizational stuff in place, then what we're saying is that we don't really want it. All right. So make sure that that stuff is in place. And the last thing is you need to know how to pitch and sell your offer with confidence. So what I mean by that is you need to have a discovery call process. You need to have a client screening process. You need to have a way to get your clients, when you get those potential clients on discovery calls or in a conversation with you, you need to have a way that you can talk about your product and programs and feel really confident about it. You need to have a way to convert the conversations that you have that you can rely on and predict. So one of the things that I do with my clients is we have sheets where they record all of the discovery calls so that we can work out what that conversion rate is over time. So for example, say they run 10 discovery calls and then they sign up 3 clients, that tells me that their conversion rate is 30%, right? If they're signing, and that tells me we need work, like that tells me that something's not right and we need to work on that particular area of their coaching business. We need to work on their discovery call process. We need to work on, maybe the messaging, maybe they're attracting the wrong discovery calls in the first place. The wrong people are coming onto those calls. Maybe it's something to do with the screening. Maybe they're just letting anybody book calls and they haven't let them know, hey, you need to be able to afford me and you need to, meet this criteria to be able to do a discovery call with me. So we would look at all of those different things. And so essentially that's the foundational phase. So what am I saying about that? Yeah, and this is really an important phase. So a client might come to me as a newbie and it's like, awesome, okay, this is what we need to move through. And I don't always necessarily say to the client, okay, we've got these exact steps that we need to work through, but in my head, like that's on autopilot for me. It's like, okay, these are the things that need to be in place for me to feel like they're ready. And so that's that foundational place. So a client can come to me as a newbie, having not coached before or have been trying to get their coaching business up and running for a while and nothing's really happening. Or they might come to me as an experienced coach who's doing okay and they want to talk about scale. So I'm always going to loop back to that though, the foundational stuff, and I'm just going to want to check in with all of those things. And usually there's a little bit less work for those clients to do, but there's always something. Like there's always going to be something to establish and make sure that those foundational pieces are done and done right. All right, so when we get to when we've done that, so you'll know you've completed the foundational part when all of those things are in place. And when they're in place, then it's time to start to think about growing your business from there. All right, and as I say, the growth phase is in 2 parts. The first part is in establishing growth. So we want to start that growth happening. And so what that looks like is you begin to work with clients and you're making any tweaks to your coaching package and you're focused on getting results. So what that means is you might get your first client, your first 2 clients, your first 3 clients, and you are going to love the shit out of them. You're going to wow the socks off them, and you're going to be so intent on getting them a result that it's almost impossible for them to not get some sort of result, right? So that's that first phase, because what we want to do is now test and make sure that the offer that we have and the promise that we're making can be delivered on. Because for some of you, this is going to be a concept till now, and you're not really going to be sure, right, is this, I think I can do a really good job with this. I'm pretty sure, like, I've done this myself. I've talked about I've helped my friends to do this. So I'm pretty sure I know how to do this. But until you start testing it with clients, you're never really going to know, And so it's like, okay, so we get into this and we start working with clients. And then you might work out, oh, okay, in my head, I thought this would work this way, but it didn't. So now I need to work out, how can I deliver this better? How can I get them to this milestone better? How can I get them past this hurdle better? And think about unpacking that stuff and just getting better at it. This is where you're honing your skills. You also begin creating high value content for your target market, and you're posting regularly. So what we're doing at this stage is establishing you as an expert in your particular industry, in your particular niche. And the way that we do that is to deliver high quality content to let people know that you know your shit, basically. All right. And we're doing this regularly, and we're establishing a really strong, authoritative presence online. And then you are also going to begin to grow your audience every week via paid traffic. So we always want to be doing one of three things. We want to be increasing our audience, our reach. We want to be increasing our bottom line, and we want to be establishing building our credibility all of the time. And we get to do that through our content. And when we have great high quality content, that's when we start to pay for traffic to bring people into our orbit. If you feel like you are going to do a live stream and nail it, and it's going to go viral and everybody loves it, and suddenly you're going to be famous, I hate to disappoint you. We rely on paid traffic. So if you go to my business page and you see, I have something like 10,000 people on that page, and now I'm getting into the stage where I'm starting to grow the audience there on that page. I've just started a campaign over the weekend, but some of my videos have 5,000 views. They didn't get there organically. They got 5,000 views because I paid for specific people to see those videos. Maybe that's how you came into my universe. Maybe you did see one of my videos, one of my live streams in the news feed, and then you've followed me over to my page, and then potentially you've come inside my group. So that's when we start to build our audience using high quality content. So it's all driven by our content, because what we're doing is establishing our credibility, establishing our authority, all right? Establishing our position. And then usually what happens in this establishing growth phase is we begin to narrow our niche even further, and we begin to discard the things that aren't working. So you might have been working with a few clients at this point, and you're like, you know what? Out of these 4 clients or 6 clients that I've had, I've really loved working with this particular type of business, or I've really loved working with this particular problem. And so you might narrow that down a little bit. And then you might think, you know what, I really love doing this part of my coaching, but I don't love that part. And this is where we just start to pare things back, when we start to refine them a little bit more. And if you were watching from the start, you'll know that I said, we always want to have strong foundations, and where we work from foundation to scale, we want to do it in a methodical way, and we don't want to race ahead and end up flat out busy and scaling something that's going to make us miserable. So this step is really, really important. It's important to be working with clients and work out, hey, do I really love this as much as I thought I was going to? And am I getting the results for my clients that I thought I was going to? And if not, this is the time to go back and just tweak things, refine things, and work out, okay, cool. I've learned a lot now, and before I go any further with this is how I'm going to tweak it. Now, that doesn't mean we have to go back to the start. It doesn't mean that we are reinventing the wheel. It just means that we're tweaking things. we're always a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress. Who I want to work with and the way that I want to work and all those things evolves all the time over time. But it doesn't mean that every time I think about, you know what, I'm going to just tighten that niche a little bit more, or I'm going to just, you know, tighten the screws on this particular thing. It doesn't mean that I have to go back to the start. It just means that in my messaging, I'm really a lot more clearer about who I want to call in. All right. And so your content, you get to dictate who you're speaking to and the type of clients that you bring into your world and the type of audience that you're wanting to build. You get to do that through, through your messaging, by making sure your messaging is saying the right things. And then at this stage as well, you're going to develop your lead generation strategy and continue to tweak and test that until it's converting well. So even though we're still at the bottom end of the growth phase, there's still a lot of strategy in place, right? We're still saying by this stage, okay, I know who I want to work with. I've been working with clients. I understand them a lot more now. I know how to get them results. I've worked out what I don't want to do anymore, and now I want to bring in more clients. So what I need to do now is create a lead magnet and create some sort of lead generation strategy that's going to bring more leads into my world so that I have more discovery calls to run so that I can take on more clients, right? And so in this stage, you know, you're going to be making those initial steps towards creating that lead magnet and getting it out into the world and testing and measuring it and working out. This is when we really need to stick at things and go, okay, so that didn't work, so back to the drawing board, what's the other thing? But in the interim, you're still sharing your message, you're still working with clients, you'll have referrals coming through, all of those sorts of things. But we also want to be thinking ahead and thinking about, right, I want to automate this getting clients business as much as I can so that I'm not spending all of my time chasing clients. I'm spending my time running discovery calls, choosing the right clients, and then going from there. All right, so that is really the end of the establishing growth phase. So what I say here is, by this stage, you should be seeing some great signs of growth. Engagement will be up on your socials. You'll start being noticed. Opportunities like requests for interviews will start to open up. Potential clients will begin reaching out to you. So instead of you having to work so hard to try and get those discovery calls, people will start to reach out to you because they're going to be noticing you. They're going to be resonating with your messaging. These are all signs you're on the right track and things are picking up momentum. Often this stuff will start to happen before the money starts rolling in. And too often coaches don't read the signs here because the money isn't rolling in yet. But this is always the first sign, so don't quit. So what I mean by that is sometimes you'll be getting people saying, that's great, on, you know, the engagement is up on your socials and you might be getting discovery calls, but you're not closing them yet, or you're not, it's not translating. So all of the love that's coming your way isn't translating into sales yet, but it's coming. And so this is when you need to really stay steady and know that you're on the right path. So all of those things are signs that you're on the right path, okay? So we want things to happen overnight. We too often we associate success with money, success with new clients coming on board and all of the rest of it. But we're still in early stages, right? We're still testing, we're still finding our feet, we're still sharing our message, we're still trying to work out our traffic to make sure that we're getting the right people into our community. We're still having to overcome a lot of the things that we're dealing with on Facebook, which is a lot of noise, which is a lot of competition, all of those sorts of things. But you have to stay the course, right? So this is where it's important for you to hold your nerve and not say, okay, I'm going to go do this other thing instead. Or, you know what, I'm going to go buy that other course because I feel like, maybe I need to know more about Facebook ads. This is where we really need to just steady this ship, keep doing our messaging. And with my clients, I always say to them, these are the things that we need to focus on. We're very clear about the things that we need to focus on. It's like, don't race ahead. We're not even thinking about that just yet. Right now, we're just focused on this particular thing. All right, so that is that phase. And then we move on to escalating growth. Okay. And what that looks like is you're having success with your clients and your reputation is starting to build. Your lead generation strategy is working well and you've got a steady stream of clients you love working with. You've got leads coming in on a consistent basis. Your reputation is building and people are being referred to you regularly. You invest more in audience growth traffic because you've now kind of nailed the audience. You know, okay, these are my people. I know that if I spend this much, I get this many people come into my world. And now you're like, right, okay, I just want more of these people. Because you know that now if you have more people coming in, it's going to translate to more discovery calls or more sales, more coaching clients. So yeah, you invest more in audience growth. You invest more in lead generation because the more leads that you have coming in, etc. So this is where we're getting to the point where we know we're going to get to capacity. You have established an online community who is spendy and loyal. So you've got a really tight tribe who loves everything that you do, right? And they're willing to invest, all those sorts of things. You're testing things like group coaching programs. You might be testing retreats and things like that. So you can see that in those early growth phases, we're still finding our feet and getting clients to work with us. And when we're escalating growth, it's like that stuff is happening and now we get to dial it up and now we get to start to test, you know, in a really controlled way, some different ways to scale. Like a group coaching program is a way to scale. Getting people to a retreat is a way to scale. Scaling is about you leveraging your time so that you're able to spend less time and make more money spending less time. So that's kind of the escalating growth phase. This is a great place to be and you can really manage your growth here for quite a while. So for example, say you have your lead magnet and it's bringing in more leads than you can handle. That's a good problem to have and it's easy fix. We just dial it back, right? Or turn it off, or usually just dial it back, or find another way to put people in a holding pattern until you've got time to work with them. You can scale at this stage quite simply by increasing your prices. So to stay in this phase and keep things super simple, you might say, right, well, now I work with 6 clients a month or 5 clients a month or 4 clients a month or whatever it is for you, right? Because we're talking high ticket coaching. All of my clients, we work with high ticket coaching, so premium coaching packages. So you might say, okay, I'm going to keep it at 4, but I want to start making more money. So you might charge more so that even though you're still working with 4 clients a month, you're making 20% more, 30% more because you put your prices up. So you can manage that and you can keep doing that until you get pushback, until people are like, yeah, no, you're too expensive. And, you know, you can work harder and try to bring in a different audience, people who are more cashed up or whatever, or you can just decide, you know, now I'm going to start to introduce different ways to scale. It's here though that you often begin thinking about moving from working one-to-one and instead working one-to-many through group programs, and you've been testing them already with smaller numbers. In this phase, you'll probably need to look at outsourcing help for the areas you lack skills in. So it might be at this stage that you start to outsource things like, you know, your marketing. So you might decide that, you know, you continue to do your messaging and everything else, but you might decide, you know what, this is running pretty well now. I don't think I need to be running my own Facebook ads and keeping an eye on those things and managing my my customer support and things like that. So you might start to outsource a few different things. You might decide that, you know, I can do my live stream and I can do my blog, but then, you know, I want someone else to spread the message a little bit further. I want someone now to, you know, just have a think about the ways that you can start to outsource that allow you to be the star of the show and do the thing that you love and do best, and you have good support underneath you so that you can continue to grow and scale. All right, so that is escalating growth, and that's that particular phase. And then we move into the fun stuff. This is when we move into scale, where we get to start to make real money, big money in our coaching business, because we are now working with clients regularly. We have a good steady stream of clients. We're never in a shortage of clients because we've got great lead generation strategy. We know how to convert those leads into sales. We're getting really good results for our clients and all those sorts of things. And now we're ready to scale. And this is where it starts to get a little bit exciting. And this is where a lot of testing and measuring happens. And you'll see that we want to go to this phase of our business when we already are reasonably successful and we have the cash coming into our business. Because a lot of coaches will decide that, you know, I'm ready to scale now, I'm ready to launch my membership program or whatever it is, and then they don't have the money to back up what it takes to create the traffic and the leads and the conversion process to get people into that program. So you need to be in a position where you can invest money in your campaigns so that those things happen, because if you don't do that, they're not going to happen. So then we move into that scale phase, which is this is where you're ready to go bigger and invest more and create more. So you create your hero group coaching product with the intent of working at volume. So it might be something like a group coaching program or an online program with group coaching calls is what I'm talking about, where it doesn't matter whether you have 10 people or you have 100 people, you know, and you also have to make a decision about that. You know, big is not always better. It's not always better to have something like, you know, I look at FEA, the Female Entrepreneur Association. I think it's like $50 a month or something. And there's something like 4,000 or 5,000 people in that community. That doesn't interest me at all. I remember signing up for that in the early days. But that doesn't interest me at all. I want to be part of a smaller community. I'm more than willing to pay more, to have more one-on-one time and to feel like I'm part of a tight-knit community than to be a number of, you know, one of 4,000 or whatever it is. And when it comes to me as a coach or as a mentor, I don't want to be working with thousands of people. That doesn't excite me at all. I would rather work with a smaller number of people, know who's in my community, and just be more intent and focused on making sure everybody gets what they need. And nobody is able to be, you know, nobody slips through the cracks. Of course, that's always going to happen. We can't, you know, we can't chase after every person as they run into the, you know, the corner and rock in the fetal position, but we can do our best. And so for me, it's not about having thousands and thousands of people. It's about having hundreds and making sure that those people are really well taken care of. So have a think about what that looks like for you. And this is where you get to really ramp up your sales funnel and your lead generation strategy. And it's really just about numbers at this stage. And then you're able to scale by adding different strings to your bow as you go. So I hope that that's really helpful. So let me just talk again about the different phases. So the foundation phase, right? The foundation phase is where we make sure that all of our ducks are in a row and we feel super confident and excited about the things that we're offering. If you go back to the start, you'll see I went through the list of things that I think are really, you know, critical to have ticked off. The things that when clients come to me, these are the things that in my mind I'm working through, you know, to go, okay, they're ready. Like they're ready now for us to start to do this next thing. And then that growth phase is where you, the growth phase is in two parts, and it's where we start establishing our growth and then we dial it up. Now, for most of you, you're going to be at the foundational place, or you're going to be at the establishing growth phase. And some of you are going to be at the, you know, you've established that and now you're ready to dial it up. And a handful of you are going to be at the scale stage. But anybody that I work with, anybody even going through my coaching programs, we're going to always go back and make sure that that foundation is correct, that that nothing's going to break, including you, when we start to really dial it up. There's so much room, right? So once we get through that foundational phase and we establish the growth phase, you don't have to spend a lot of time there. We just need to, you know, do the work and work with the clients and work out, okay, yes, this is what I want to be doing. This is how I'm going to do it. The success for my clients is coming along now. And then we can start to dial it up. And in that escalating growth phase, we can stay there for quite a while, and we can turn that, we can dial it back and dial it up depending on how we're feeling. And that's where most coaches will stay. And that's okay too. And then there's going to be some of you who are ready to do that next phase, which is really scale and build. It's more of a recurring revenue model where you just know that every single month, based on your online programs or digital courses, for example, and your membership program and all of those different things, that you know that you're going to have income coming in consistently, regularly, based on the traffic that you pay for, right? So you know that for every $1,000 you spend, for example, you pick up X amount of clients, which means over time, and on average, you keep those clients in your membership program for X amount of months. And then you can make decisions based on those numbers, and you can dial that up depending on the results that you're getting. And that's when you also have to work out, okay, it's costing me too much to accumulate these clients. So I either need to put the price up of my membership program, or I need to really overhaul my marketing and work out how I can get that cost down. So I hope that all makes sense. And I hope that it helps you to see that if you haven't covered all of your bases in the foundational phase yet, you don't want to be talking about scale. So if you're in the foundational phase, you don't want to be racing ahead and thinking about things that aren't relevant to you just yet. Too many coaches spend their time and energy and money really focused on things that are at the wrong phase. If somebody comes to me in the foundational phase, right, and they say to me, if you've got questions, please pop them in. Even if you're on the replay, pop the questions in and I'll be sure to answer it. But if you're in that foundational phase and you still don't know what your sweet spot is, and you still haven't packaged your stuff up in a way that you feel like, yes, this is a thing, I'm excited, and you can talk about it all day in your messaging, then you have no business sending paid traffic your way. You have no business having a lead magnet just yet and spending lots of money trying to get people to come and work with you, because if there's no clarity for you, that's going to be reflected, and people are going to be confused about what you do. And any money that you are spending on Facebook ads or Instagram ads or whatever it is for you is going to go to waste. And then you're going to be left thinking, nobody wants to work with me. I'm spending all this money, or, Facebook ads don't work, or, I'm too scared to run any more ads because I'm just spending all this money and nothing's happening. So all of those things are signs that you haven't done the foundational stuff right to begin with, because when you have that in place, the likelihood of anything that you do strategy-wise from a marketing perspective, the likelihood of that working is increased, right? It's going to be decreased the more you, or the less clarity you have, and the more you want to go racing ahead and rushing things. Anyway, that's all I have. I hope that was really, really useful for you. I can't believe I did that under an hour, but I'm pretty happy about that. So what I'm going to be doing is, from time to time, I'm conscious that I'm going to be using this content somewhere else, so I don't want to give a day for the video. Well, actually, I am going to give a day for this week, but if you are watching this as a replay and it's down the track, there will be a link somewhere for you to do the same thing. But this Thursday, what I'm going to do is offer a bonus group coaching call that is going to be on this particular topic, and it's going to not cost you anything. I'm going to spend about an hour with you. There will be 6 people at most on the call, so it's going to be a group coaching call. And what we're going to do is, for the people that come onto the call, you're going to come on and you're going to say, hey, I'm at this phase of my coaching business, and I want you to, you'll have a bit of a questionnaire to fill in before we do the call. And I'm going to have a look at your coaching business, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to help you to see the blind spots that you can't see. So for example, you might think, I'm in the growth phase, like I'm definitely in this establishing growth phase, but nothing's happening. So I'm going to have a look at that for you. I'm going to come onto the call and say, hey, I don't think you're there yet, because I think you need to work on these particular things. Or you might say, I've been stuck between the establishing growth phase and escalating growth phase for ages, and I just can't work out like what is going on. Like I can't work out why I can't move from here to here. So come armed with your specific question. You'll have, as I say, questions to answer before we go on the call, and then on the call I'm going to answer those. So everybody will get a reasonable amount of time for me to spend with them and answer the questions. And the great thing about those calls, because they're a group, is you're going to have other people that are on the call who will ask a question that you no doubt are going to benefit from anyway. Now, if you've done one of these calls with me before, you're not eligible. So if you have not done one of these free group coaching calls, and you want me to, you want to be on the call on Thursday, I haven't got the time yet. I'm going to have a look at that. But just in the comments, type me, and then I will get in touch with you and I'll send you the questionnaire, and then I'll send you the link for the coaching call and the times and all the rest of it. So just in the comments below, or in the comments, just click me, and then I will be in touch, and I will send you the things that you need, and then we'll spend some time together on Thursday, and it'll be around this topic of which phase are you at and what do you specifically need to be able to move to that phase. All right, so it's going to be like a diagnostic more than anything else. So I'll be like, okay, this phase means this, and this is where you're trying to get to, so these are the things that you're going to need to take care of. So if you think there's value in that, type me, and then I'll be in touch. All right, guys, that's it. Bye.